So hello guys, what's up and welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's me, your girl barrister Neze, and this is Nezeville. So many of us here are already familiar with the story of barrister ADACHUKWU and her 10-year-old help. We have done about 2 videos on that subject, and I'm going to leave the links to those videos down in the description box so you can always catch up. But just for recap purposes, barrister ADACHUKWU, a barrister cum businesswoman, she's not a practicing lawyer. She's into the sale of hair extensions and all of that, and they reside at Awka, eastern part of Nigeria. So she just had a baby not too long ago. She has 4 children, by the way. She's married, and she said that she needed assistance around the house with little chores here and there. And on the other side of the story, there was a little girl called Happiness, about 10 years, some say she's 11, but a little child who was not resident with her own parents. This little Happiness was living with a guardian, like an auntie. So barrister ADACHUKWU's parents contacted this auntie to please release her word to live with barrister Ada, which she did. Now this relationship with barrister ADACHUKWU and this 10-year-old girl lasted just about 3 weeks. So that is why it's surprising to a lot of people. This girl just lives with barrister ADACHUKWU for just 3 weeks before this calamity happened. Now the news that made the rounds, the news that was said that barrister ADACHUKWU alleged, is that Happiness, the 10-year-old girl, was always fondling with the privates of her son. Whenever she wants to beat her son, she would allegedly touch him inappropriately and do all those kinds of things. And when barrister Ada heard what had happened or what was going on with the help and her son, she released terror and hell on the little girl. The story was that she beat her, she tied her, she stripped her, she starved her, she used hot knife on her, hot pressing iron to burn her body, and inserted a hot knife into her vagina. It was really gory, and I even left the video of that incident on Twitter for those that have the stomach to view such things. It's on Twitter. My handle is at Nezeville. If you're not following me on Twitter, Instagram, and all other social media platforms, you can catch up on these stories and these videos that cannot be shared here on YouTube due to YouTube community guidelines. So we covered that story extensively, and I also told you guys that barrister ADACHUKWU has been apprehended, or rather she surrendered herself to the police and she has been charged to court. She was denied bail and she is presently cooling her feet in prison custody. Now, to further confirm the assertions making the round on social media, because when we gave this report, some people were like, this is too unbelievable, this is too gory, this is too incomprehensible to believe. I cannot believe that the mother would take a hot knife and insert into the VJ of a child. Barrister Neze, are you sure of this story? Are you sure that that's what actually happened? Well, to further add flesh to that assertion, let us hear from a representative of the Nigerian police.
On January 29, 2024, this suspect accused her of this and proceeded to tie her hands, tie her mouth, and also tie her hands and flogged her. She also inserted a hot knife into her private parts and poured ground pepper into it as well. She then placed a hot electric iron. She plugged an electric iron into the electric socket, allowed it to be hot, and used it on the maid's cheek and on her 2 buttocks.
Well, so that actually is the police's record of that incident. So it is not just a rumor. Now, typically in cases of violence, I don't mean self-induced violence, I mean violence that involved 2 people, we will usually see a lot of people ask, let us hear from the other person, let us hear the other person's side of the story. But in this case, we didn't get anybody asking to hear barrister ADACHUKWU's side of the story. Anybody who saw the gravity of the injury caused on that child instantly became uninterested in knowing what the child has done, because a lot of people are of the belief that regardless of what this child has done, this punishment is not commensurate. This punishment is inordinate. It is not appropriate for a child. So because of that, a lot of people couldn't care to know Barrister ADACHUKWU's side of the story. But in law, there is a saying, a Latin maxim that goes, Audi alteram patem, and it means no man shall be condemned unheard. Many people have wondered why you find a man with a gun shooting somebody in the face. You can see that he's the one that committed that murder. Or you see an armed robber in the bank robbing the bank. It is clear to even a blind man that he is the one that committed the crime. And a lot of lay people wonder, so what is the cause of a trial? Why are you asking him if he's guilty or not guilty? Why is the court accepting a not guilty plea? Why are we wasting time, energy and resources going through a judicial process? Can't we see? We witnessed it. There is a video of him carrying out the crime. So what is the need of this trial? He is obviously guilty. She is obviously the perpetrator. That is a layman's thinking. But in law, it's entirely different. The audi alteram patem principle is the basic foundation of natural justice and the basic concept of every justice system. It is so crucial in criminal proceedings that even if you catch somebody committing a crime with your koro eyes, you must avail that person the opportunity of defense. You cannot condemn a man unheard. Even if you know the truth, even if the trial would lead to a conviction, you must still avail that person the process of self-explanation. And this principle stems from natural justice, stems from the incident of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. I love discussing with you. I love enlightening you. It gives me pleasure. Don't forget that many laws have their foundation from religion. And you will recall that back then in the Garden of Eden, when Adam and Eve disobeyed God and ate from the forbidden fruits, God is known to be omniscient, omnipresent. He sees everything. He knows everything. So he obviously knew what had happened. He obviously knew that the serpent had convinced Eve and Eve had convinced her husband and they had disobeyed him. But in all his knowledge and all his wisdom, he still availed them an opportunity not to be condemned unheard. He asked them. Now this is sounding like Bible stories, but we're getting there. Very interesting to discuss. Now God asked them, Eve, Adam, where are you? Have you eaten from the forbidden fruit? So he gave them an opportunity of self-defense. He gave them an opportunity to explain before passing judgment. He didn't just come and say, you ate from the fruit, get out of the garden. No, he gave them a chance to explain themselves. And Adam was like, oh, it was my wife. And Eve was like, it was this person. And then he passed judgment. It is on this foundation and on this basis that this legal principle was created. So no matter how guilty or seemingly guilty an accused person is, the law and the courts must avail that person an opportunity to explain themselves, because no man should and can be condemned unheard. And even if it icks our ears, stares at us in the face like a baby staring to get a candy from the cashier, we are compelled to listen to the other side. So in the spirit of fair hearing, it has become incumbent to hear Ada's side of the story. So you, my dear distinguished members of the Nezeville panel, can weigh in on the two testimonies and give your 2 cents. So please, my dear distinguished members of the Nezeville panel, do put on your robes and wigs and approach the bench. But before we go into Ada's testimony, I fondly recall my IELTS test, the English speaking exam I had to take that gave me the opportunity to immigrate to Canada. The examiner, shrewd looking woman, permits me to add, asked me a question, and instead of giving the regular response, I answered by telling a short, juicy, catchy story. Oh, I sure could see the smiles form around the corners of her mouth while she struggled to maintain an official disposition. Then I knew I had won her over, and it was no surprise to me at all when my result came out and I scored the highest band. Guys, do you really understand the power of storytelling? It makes you automatically charismatic, attractive and likable. It makes encounters with you memorable and enjoyable. It creates an emotional link and connection between you and the people listening to you. I can see some of you smiling already. It is a skill worth possessing, at least in its basic form, whether you're a content creator or not. I have put together a life-changing, groundbreaking master course to teach you the skill. Oh yes, storytelling is a skill, it's an art, and it can be learned, it can be taught, it can be improved, it can be mastered, and it can be perfected. There is so much, so much to learn from this 5-course intensive program, broken down in an easy to understand fashion. So if you would like to learn, to improve yourself, to take your game to the next level, to learn the tricks to success, do access the link to this program in the description box and pinned in the comment section. Many of you already trust in my pedigree as a great teacher. I can assure you that this master course program is 100% value adding. So take the course and thank me later. Now let's go back to my learned colleague, Barrister ADACHUKWU. When Barrister Ada was first asked what happened, she was a little bit reluctant to respond.
Okay, what actually caused between you and her? I've given my statement to the police. So I've given my statement at the police station. But now that we are with you, what is it happened? You beat her or what happened to her? I did not beat her. What did you do? I've given my statement at the police station. So what did she do?
But when the journalist insisted and pressed on further, she began speaking. When asked why she had to pick a child, a 10-year-old, as a help, she explained that it was only a temporal arrangement. She said,
I'm Mrs. ADACHUKWU. I'm Mrs. ADACHUKWU Okafo. Okay. Happiness Mwapo. She's my help. I actually got to know her from her auntie. She's staying with me. I told her auntie that I actually wanted an 18-years-old girl, 17, 18 years old girl, which she begged me I should stay with her for a while, while she brings in the 17-years-old girl. So she's not up to, she's like 3 weeks in my house.
When asked what happened on that fateful day that Happiness sustained these injuries, she said,
my car got overheated and stopped by itself on the road. So the next thing to do was open my bonnet and allow the car to cool off before I pour water and proceed. So knowing that the fuel in my car was already low, and when my car stopped was a hilly road, the fuel in it will run back and it might not start after it cools down. So I decided to take a gallon and buy fuel myself and pour inside the car. So when I got a trackable distance, moved with my first son, like 7 years old. In no time I came in just to look inside my car and saw the girl on top of my child, my 6-year-old son, naked without banging her, as like she was having sex with my son in the car. I shouted and people came out. She ran out with her pants on her hand. And ran as I couldn't hold. It was the security of the place, my car, Regina Wankwo Onicha, that caught her and handed her to me. Because of what she did, I had to wind up the glasses. So by the time they fixed my car and everything, it was already around 8 in the night. So I went to the house. I bought a cane downstairs in my front of my house and was flogging her.
When quizzed why she did not discipline the child like a child, immediately the act was committed. Why she had to wait and keep the anger many hours later up till midnight. Her response was,
you got her in your car. Yes. You kept the thing and went home and was cooking before you started beating her.
It was already night.
Tomorrow
was school. Tomorrow was Tuesday, was school. So I had to cook dinner for my kids to eat.
So you didn't flog her immediately. You caught her doing this thing in your car outside.
She ran away. When immediately I saw her, she ran away. It was security, the Regina Wankwo security that caught her.
Okay, and you guys got home.
We drove back to the house.
Okay, you and her?
Yes, with my kids.
Okay, and you started cooking?
Yes, when when I got to my house, first of all, as a mother, I knew that I had to cook for the kids to eat because tomorrow was school. It was night. My kids have to go to school tomorrow. In as much as I knew I was going to flog her, I knew that I was still going to settle the kids that were going to school tomorrow. Yeah, so I kept food on fire and now told her I lie down, I'm going to flog you for what she did. Now that's it.
When asked how this child sustained that level of injury even into her private, she had this to say.
Remember, I came in around 8:30 in the night. So I knew that I was meant to arrange food for my kids to eat because the next day was cold. So I put food on fire. When I now called, I told her to lie down, remove her skirt that I was going to flog her on her bum because of what she did. So when she laid down, I started flogging her. While flogging her, my son now told me that she has been doing it. That whenever she's bathing her, she'll be touching her penis. And also when she's applying cream on her body, that she'll be touching her penis. And that twice I went downstairs to charge my car, to power my phone in my car. That she would tell her to lie down on top of her and be banging and be doing her. You know, my son explained and she confirmed it too. And I was only flogging her with cane. Then she started running. At the point she got up and she started running. She was running away from the cane. So she ran towards the kitchen side. Remember, I had food on fire. She ran towards the kitchen to escape through the kitchen door. The door she went to escape through was locked. She trying to come back. My kitchen is a narrow kitchen. And the first thing in front of my kitchen is my gas. She mistakenly pushed the food on the gas. It fell on the floor. She entered the kitchen with her back. She entered with her because she was running away from Cain. And she mistakenly sat on the gas of food on fire. That was what happened to her. The blade got to her skin. The blade of the gas. She sat on the gas and fell. She was almost falling with the gas. I rushed the gas and held it. And she landed her face on the pot of food that fell on the floor. That was what happened. I didn't use iron, anything like that on her. I didn't use a knife on her. I did not.
Okay. And when she was asked why she did not take that child to the hospital, because the kind of scream and cries that a child will let out when she's being caned would entirely be different from the screams that would come when she sits on a burning cooker.
Okay, please, madam, at what point did you take her to the hospital?
This thing happened at night.
Okay.
At night, very late, as around 9:10.
So when did you take her to the hospital?
By 9:10.
No. When did she do that?
That's what I said. By 9:10, you couldn't take her to the hospital. You say it was late by 10. If it's your own child,
by 9:10.
You say that 10 is late to go to the hospital.
With such wound.
Number one, when she sustained that wound, there was no electricity light. I didn't see what was on her body. You didn't see
okay, you were even flogging her with that season.
I didn't see what was on her body. I didn't see her body. I didn't know she sustained that level of
after sitting on a gas.
You know, she kept running.
So after she sat on the gas, she ran away again.
She was running away from King.
Okay, but you said you were not beating her.
I was flogging her when she sat on the gas. That's what I said. I was flogging her when she sat on the gas with a cane.
So she saw that the child had sat on a burning cooker, yet she did nothing. And the next day, she returned the child back to her people in that condition. When asked why she didn't care for the child by taking the child to the hospital to at least get treated, Barrister ADACHUKWU said this.
Where was the girl when you took your children to school? Because you said your children went to school the same day. As that thing happened in the night,
you kept time. She was in the house.
Okay, you locked her.
In the house.
Yes, in the morning now. When you might have seen the wounds.
Bruises.
Yeah, when you might have seen the wounds.
I didn't see her. When I woke up in the morning, I didn't look at her. I had to, first of all, when a lady wakes up in the morning, I faced my children's.
I'm also a lady.
That's what I'm saying. I just remember.
You faced your children.
When a woman, no, this is general. When a woman wakes up in the morning, the first thing on your mind, you have kids. is to focus on your kids. I know I flogged her, she did something, but I didn't know she sustained injuries. Do you get this thing is normal? You can flog your child and you know that.
Okay,
my point was, okay, I'm coming to you. Let me just take these kids to school.
Why didn't you take her along with the girls to school?
How can I? This is morning runs. I've not had my bath.
So she doesn't go to
Was she not going to school?
She just came to my house. She has not stayed up to 3 weeks in my house. She's just 3 weeks in my house.
That happened to her. So
I have lived with the house help for 5-6 years. They should call him. I have lived with the house help for 6 years. Call him and ask him if I can do such a thing. He knows me very well.
Okay, since the place was dark, you were cooking in the dark. Okay, we believe that. And you were flogging her in the dark. And she sat on a burning gas cooker, as you said. It burnt the private part, burnt the anus area, burnt the face, everywhere was burnt. Okay. If you're supposed to take that story, you didn't see the extent of damage that was caused. What of the next day when it was bright? You love your children so much, oh, you are a good mother, you cooked for them, you took them to school, and you saw the child of another person burnt. If you didn't see her the night before, at least you saw her the next morning. Why did you still refuse to treat her? Why did you dump her back in that condition? A condition that you didn't pick her in. Barrister ADACHUKWU said this.
But when you saw the level of the injury, when you must have taken your kids to school and came back, what did you do?
Seeing this car, you didn't feel there is need to see her again.
You should still remember that I'm a mother. Seeing her on top of my child, a girl that I've been very nice to.
No wonder you tried killing her.
On top of my child, a 6 years old child. I mean, this boy is just fat. He just turned 6. He just turned 6.
And she concluded by saying,
After you handed her over to her people, I presume that they might have taken her to the hospital. Were there at any point that you tried going to the hospital or asked after her?
My husband did that.
You, I'm asking you.
My husband did that.
Did you?
My husband did
yes
that.
or no, did you?
Where's your husband living?
Where?
Or Benin? I'm a mother that can't do that to
and
the child.
also listen to
my
me.
enemy.
You also listen to me because people can cook up story against me.
and yes, that is the whole account of Barrister ADACHUKWU. This is not a court. She would have a right to defend in the courts, but here is a social media platform where we air our opinions. So I'm going to ask you, what do you think about this account? Do you find it believable? Do you find it implausible? Does it sound ridiculous? Do you think there's any truth in it? Do you see any justification since Barrister ADACHUKWU is claiming repeated sexual abuse on her minor child? Do you think the defense of provocation can come in? Dear privileged, distinguished panel of Nezeville-ians, please, we would like to get your comments and thoughts down in the comment section. It is important that I bring to your information that Happiness, the 10-year-old girl, has been treated and discharged from the hospital, and she has been reunited with her family. As more and more information make out, as this case goes to trial, and as more facts come to light, be sure that I would bring it to your notice. So guys, yes, we have come to the end of today's video. If you're seeing me for the first time, you're new here, you're watching me for the first time, or if you've been watching without subscribing, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, give this video a big thumbs up, drop all your comments, your thoughts, your feelings, your feedback down in the comment section. Turn on your bell notifications and stay glued because we have so much more coming your way. Don't forget also that our masterclass is live. Take advantage of it now because we cannot guarantee how long it will stay live, as these platforms where this masterclass is being hosted are being paid for. Thank you so much, guys. Once again, it's me, your girl, Barrister Neze, and this is Nezeville. I'll see you guys in my next one. For now,